Next, Eric Glyman, CEO of Ramp, and Greg Krasnov, CEO of Tonik, talk about evolving from a hands on founder to a strategic leader, highlighting the need for self awareness, quality hiring, and smart resource allocation. Christo Borisov, CEO of Payhawk, focuses on the importance of customer feedback, and Ben Miller, CEO of Fundrise, discusses the difficulties of preserving company culture amid rapid growth.
Two things that I would encourage people to think about are one, a company is an allocation of resources. If you have product market fit, probably the scarcest resource or the highest impact resource is the quality of people, and spend a lot of time on that. The second is really know what are you really good at, and what are you not, and be real about it, and that's great. I remember, I was doing a sort of a different kind of analysis, and I was like, I'm only when we started Ramp, I was 33% of the headcount. I'm 10% now, and I'm soon going to be 5, and I'm soon to be 1 today. I'm about 0.5%. I'm not as useful as I used to be. I don't have as much impact in the same way. And I think at one point, I think the first blush might be like, wow, that's in some ways could feel a little scary. In other ways, it's wait a minute, this is incredible, but I should really be putting a lot of thought into who and how we hire, because that can unlock a ton of leverage for the company. If I'm only a small part of it, maybe I should be spending a lot of time thinking about hiring. And so I think I've spent a lot more time, probably this time around, it's been closer to a third, 40% of my time just on hiring and thinking through a process and meeting with candidates. And those people are really surprised the amount of time I'll spend with them. And it's because I'm going to count on them to make great decisions. And so we spent a lot of time. It's the second time one of our first 10 hires was in talent. The other 8 were in engineering, and the last one was me. And so we made a very different set of investment choices, and where we spent time is, I think, the first big change. And the second is, I also have gotten to know more of my gaps. There's certain areas where I'm really good at it. Surprisingly, some people who know and email with me is I'm a little bit disorganized. So I don't get back to people promptly, which I still feel bad about. But my sort of natural approach to things, if there's 100 things to do, I'll probably do try to figure out what are the top 10 highest leverage, most important to the best of my ability, and the other 90 I might drop. And so I try to find for balance of who has great spikes in hyper organization and for different parts of the company. I think it's been really good.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that we have made in the company were in places where we didn't listen enough to the customer. We had many opportunities where the customers were telling what's important, and we were, understanding that feedback, but then we were trying to do too many things at the same time. And as we mature as a scale up, now the voice of the customer is a lot more clear, and we are a lot more focused on just execution and drive. We have set on the strategy right now. It's about focus and operational excellence. So these are some of the big switch we had to do. We had too many priorities, too many things we wanted to do at the same time. And when you're trying too many things to do at the same time, that's not going to be the great outcome. And now we're trying to be a lot more step by step. That at the end of the day, we have been able to achieve a lot of things, but I think that could have been a bigger toll on the team, a lot more pressure, a lot more stress on the team, and that would have been easier on the team if we had been a little bit more structured at the beginning. I'd say that's one. Second thing is, not letting people go immediately when you see things don't work. Sometimes, and there is something that I learned through the hard time, is that this is very close to selling. So I do a lot of selling. So in selling, there is a saying that, the moment you think about reducing the canvas size of the sales is the moment you should start doing it right now. Because if you wait, then it's going to be too late in about 30 minutes from now. And the same thing is with letting go of people. Unfortunately, the moment you start thinking about that somebody needs to be let go is the moment you should do it. And unfortunately, this is the worst part of the job. But at the end of the day, we try to give and support everybody in the business. For me, as a leader, when we let go of somebody, that's also part of my mistake, right?
I have a learning from my first startup a long time ago, which is that the winner is the one who sees the brutal reality as fast as possible. And, this is now, I went through a startup from 1999 to 2001. So it dates me. And then 2001, obviously, tech bubble blew up. And I watched kind of like the full cycle from 1999 was crazy. And then everything collapsed from 2001 to 2004. And so it's a funny psychological bias to not want to do the ugly, hard stuff. We went from 100 people to 300 people in 24 months, and then we went to remote. And the remote and the tripling of people, that really undermined or diluted our culture. And we're still working on that, basically. So I think that remote and really fast rates of expansion, like if you can have a certain amount of hiring and maintain culture, but if you are 100 people and you go to 1,000 people, 90% of people don't have that culture. And so I think that like having things true, the culture persists, but it's actually like the growth fights cultural norms.
In my private equity days, I've actually seen, entrepreneurs that can't make that transition from like being a really small startup guy to being a manager of an organization with over 100 FTEs. Because it's just a different mindset. You really need to then focus on, different leadership competencies. And the number one of those competencies is making sure you know what your weaknesses are. You build a team to kind of that is better than you are at whatever it is that they do. And then you become the guy that runs the orchestra as opposed to the guy that solos, right? So you no longer should be soloing. What you should be doing is really effectively making sure the orchestra all plays together to the same kind of, energy, to the same, whatever time beat. There are all these elements you coordinate as a leader. So that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, when you think that you're going to be the guy on top there and like telling everybody what to do, if that's your mentality, then maybe you're better off like at some point just like stepping back and letting somebody step in that can be more inclusive in the decision pattern and make sure that there's smart people coming into the team.